In this video, we're going to talk about the disappearance of Theo Hayez. Theo was an 18-year-old at the time that he disappeared on May 31st, 2019. He was backpacking in Australia at the time, and he disappeared and last seen from the Cheeky Monkey around 11 p.m. To this day, nobody's seen or heard from Theo. Why did Theo leave the Cheeky Monkey? The staff thought Theo was intoxicated, so the bouncers ejected Theo from the bar's building. There were some backpackers around at the time. Theo got ejected from the Cheeky Monkey. They were heard saying that none of them thought he was drunk. There was CCTV footage showing Theo around the Cheeky Monkey in the moments he left, but the footage shown of Theo wasn't conclusive on whether or not he was actually drunk or not. So where did Theo disappear to? The family of Theo, sometime after his disappearance, had gotten into Theo's Google account. They noticed that after Theo left the Cheeky Monkey, he Googled directions to the hostel that he was staying at. This hostel is called the Wake Up Hostel. For whatever reason, Theo walked in the opposite direction of his hostel. Further looking into the Google location data where Theo goes makes me wonder if something bad happened. What makes me think something bad happened to Theo is a few reasons. It's weird that you would go and have directions to your hostel and then go in the opposite direction. So why did he look up his, hostel if he wasn't going over there? And then, he just disappears off the face of the earth. And that's one theory, is that he went to the cliffs and jumped from suicide, or even just accidentally fell. And I'll get into the family statements later. Another theory could be, he got murdered, but we don't actually know. But I'm going to get into the location pings of what actually his phone was showing, the data, and then we can kind of get an idea of what possibly could happen, but we're not 100% sure since we don't know. We don't know where he was going, but we do know that the location ping shown going past the cricket ground, which is something like a American baseball, but not 100% sure what the specifics of the sport is. I just know that it's a sport. And then it goes down to a fire trail. He followed that fire trail and then eventually got to some bushlands, which led to the beach. The beach is called Tallow Beach. Eventually, these location pings show his phone data and him were at Cozy Corner, which is near the Cape Byron cliffs. These cliffs look out to the ocean, so if you fall, you might just be taken out to sea by the ocean's currents. That is a theory that has been thrown out there by police, is that Theo decided to climb the cliffs near Cozy Corner at night and somehow fell off the cliffs and swept out to sea. Miss Edwards said if the working theory is correct, his phone did not go with him because it was still working and transmitting data until about the afternoon of Saturday, June 1st, 2019. Extensive searches for Theo has everybody wondering where Theo is, since they couldn't find a body yet. Search teams did find something in the bushland on the route he took to the beach, and that was a gray hat that he was wearing that night. 2022, to revive interest in the case, the police minister, Paul Toole, has decided to state that there will be a $500,000 reward to help revive the case. He also stated that Theo was a young man. He had his whole life ahead of him, and his family cannot rest until they know what happened to him. The pain of losing a loved one is bad enough, but the mystery surrounding this case only adds to that pain. Also in 2022, Constable Lewis Papworth, he was the person that coordinated the search of Theo the first day. At that time, he was an inexperienced rescue operator and police officer. So he goes on to state he wished he would have done things differently if he had this time over. Also, Kristen Edwards asked Papworth, Why were you personally selected to coordinate the first day of Theo's search? Papworth said, I believe I was just the on-call rescue operator that day. Search teams were using paper maps and pens. He had no experience with a mapping tool that you could use GPS data to mark different search areas. Plus, an updated photo of Theo was only shown before the search happened, and nobody was given a copy of what Theo looked like, so they, Theo's face could stay fresh in their minds during the search. The theories out there is that, as I stated earlier, Theo supposedly walked all the way to the cliffs alone, and then supposedly climbed the cliffs, fell, and then, the siege drug him out, and then he was never seen again. But his cell phone definitely didn't go with him, because according to the cell phone makers and the cell phone towers, Telstra, I believe it was called, they stated that if their phone was submerged in water, it wouldn't get any type of cell signal. So that's kind of ruled out that his phone didn't go with him. But we don't know exactly where he went. And his family has mentioned that he wouldn't trek that secluded area alone, especially since he didn't know it. And that was unlike him. So they believe that he was with somebody. But nobody knows who that is if he actually was with somebody. You know what I mean? Abduction murder could be totally possible. That's why his phone wasn't recovered, but it was still pinging because it didn't fall into the water. His cap, was found in the bushlands, around the beach area. And, it could have been an accident because, murder isn't always technically intentional. There could have been an argument with somebody and they got into a fight and, they accidentally killed him, because there are people that accidentally kill people and then they panic and get rid of the body and then they get caught. But I don't know. Tell me what you guys feel like would be the best, theory in this situation. Whether he climbed the cliffs and accidentally fell, and then his phone mysteriously didn't come with him. His favorite cap definitely didn't come with him because it wasn't found on the cliffs. Or was he murdered? Or did he just run away? Because, that could be totally possible too. But I'm not 100% sure. It's just not a lot of evidence in this one. And it would be nice for them to find him, though. Find him alive, that would be nice. But you never know. Because there's no evidence saying that he's dead or alive. So that's why there's only a missing person, not an abduction or murder case, Let me know in the comments below what you guys feel.